Good morning. So it is Wednesday morning, let's see, May 8th. If you watched the little video that I did on Monday, you remember that I was having some weepiness or crying or that uncontrollable kind of, and that I really couldn't quite figure out. So, as you know, I have recently learned how to go up into meditation, figure out what my issues are, and knock the shit out of them. And I knew a couple of weeks ago that I was circling around something big. The way the universe had taken me in was they had me studying everything about emotions and energy and how it affected the body and like physical manifestations. And it was just like I was like reading all these books, and it was all kind of associating with each other. And then and I knew deep in my heart that it felt like I was like this close to an ancient pool of knowledge, or I was like digging in a cave, and I was like an inch away from breaking through that wall to get to where I was trying to get to. And I feel like I did that last week when I finally figured out how to go up into meditation and start breaking through some of these blocks that I have had. You know, it's like I could do my cards, and I could find out, I have abandonment issues that I need to work on, or grief that I need to work on, or inner child stuff, but I really didn't know how to work on it. And now I have figured that out. And so I don't share every meditation that I do, but I do share the ones that I find could be valuable to you guys. So I want to tell you about the one that happened yesterday, because like I said, on Monday I was crying and I couldn't quit crying. And even yesterday I was still feeling that inside of me. And I'm like, this is just annoying. I just need to get this out. I need to figure out where it's coming from and get it out of here. So I guess I have recently been introduced to a guide named Jack. And I don't know if I've brought him up or not. I know I've talked to my friend Claudine about him, but he showed up, I think, on Saturday for the first time. And he is, I don't know, he looks to be in his 50s or 60s. He has a tweed coat on and a hat and kind of a white short beard and a pipe. And he's the one that and yesterday was the third time I've run into him up in meditation. So apparently he has decided to, now that I have decided to like daily work on these blocks and knock out whatever the shit that's going on and get it out of my system, he seems to be the one that's taking me through all of this stuff. So after I'm like having this weepy stuff, I'm like, all right, fine. I have got to figure out what the hell this is and get rid of it. So as I say, I go up into my, do my stair steps, visualize going up into the stair steps, and I end up in a church, big church. And I have to close my eyes because I visualize everything, and it's easier for me to talk when I have my eyes closed. So I go up in a church, and it's me and him sitting in the back, in one of the back pews. And it's a big church. It's one of those that's like huge with, lots of pews, and it's old. And it kind of looked like, the one that just burnt, Notre Dame. Like when they showed the inside pictures of that, I mean, like gleaming wood and the statues everywhere. And I mean, that church had been there for a while, and it had a lot of energy in it. It had a lot of negative energy in it. So I suppose that's why he took me there. So I got up there, and I'm like just seeing it. Immediately I started crying. And he starts asking me, he's like, what are you feeling? What are you seeing? And I'm like, and I'm like asking myself, well, what do I feel? I'm like, well, first of all, I feel like there's a lot of fake shit going on here. A lot of people going to church, pretending like everything's okay. And I feel that way about religion. I want to specify there is a difference between spirituality and religion. So for me, religion is about a lot of fake crap. And I could feel that in the church, people putting on their best duds and going in and acting all prissy and all hot, holier than thou and everything. And that was one of the things that I felt in there. And he's like, what else do you feel? And I was like, and I started crying. I said, well, there's a lot of people that get married here. And that made me cry because I would like to get married sometime and I haven't. See, now I get choked up just talking about it. So it brought those emotions up, and he kept going. He goes, what else happens here? And I'm like sitting there and I'm trying to like visualize and think, I'm like, well, what happens in church? And I'm like, oh, funerals happen in church. And that really let the floodgates go. He's like, okay, he's like, why does that make you cry? And I'm like, well, because when there's a funeral, that means you've lost the person, they're gone. And he goes, but is that really true? He goes, their physical body may be gone, but does that mean that they are altogether gone? It's kind of like you still talk to your divine masculine and he's nowhere in sight. So you still have communication with him. You talked to your grandpa last weekend and he's been gone for years. So you technically, their physical body may be gone, but their spirit is still there and you have figured out how to access them. So let's talk about what actually happens when someone disappears from your life, and the grief and the abandonment and the loss and the loneliness that happens through that. So he took me through everything and he made me feel all of these feelings and asked me, why I took abandonment personally. And we had like this whole discussion of like, well, if somebody dies on you, they didn't leave you on purpose. This was part of the natural process. And it's kind of like you are taking that personally when somebody dies, like they've done this to you and you're grieving for that loss when you still have access to them. And so anyway, he just kind of took me through this whole kind of this line of like when death happens and the physical body is no longer there, and then the feelings that kind of happen after that, and then working my way through to still having access to people that are not in my life, including my divine masculine, and how to work through that and to understand that when someone is not in my life, it doesn't have anything to do with me. It has to do with what was part of their purpose. And so once I came out of that, I kind of had a whole new perspective. I think I can open my eyes now. I had a different feeling about grief and loss and abandonment and the attachment to that feeling. And once I was able to work through those feelings and get to the other side, it didn't feel so negative in my body. Even though when I tried to tell Claudine about it, I said, I want to tell you what happened today, and I want to see how it sounds, because I wanted to tell you guys about it, and I couldn't stop crying when I was telling her about it. So I said, obviously, I haven't gotten this completely cleared out of my system. So I go, well, I'm going to go home and cry some more, because obviously I still have some grief inside of me that needs to be cleared. And she's like, yeah, I think you do. So I came home and cried a little bit longer to finish getting whatever energy, negative energy, was like trapped in my body. And then I remembered, like, doTERRA has a grief blend called Console. And I was kind of like, oh, I'm going to get that and put that on and see if this helps work through this. And oddly enough, it was like that last little 5-minute cry that I had, and I put that oil on, and it all kind of dried up immediately. So I just want to say, I have accessed the most powerful pool of knowledge, and I want to assure you that you guys can do this too. And if you've, like I said, I've tried to show the process of how it all happens and how I have come to the conclusion of how it happens, because I feel like I did have a major breakthrough. And my Libra reading a month ago said life as you knew it will no longer be there, or something like that. And I thought it meant something different. But what I now recognize is that life as I knew it is completely different, because now I know how to fix everything and get to where I need to go. I have the pool of knowledge to manifest. I have the pool of knowledge to heal myself and help heal others. I have accessed that. They have told us for years it's all within us, and I didn't know how to do that. And I would watch these readers, and one in particular, and she would talk about like her guide so-and-so, and I'd be like, I don't know who any of my guides are until now. I know who Jack is because Jack keeps showing up, and Jack is helping me lead the way. So for those of you who are trying to figure stuff out, this is where you're going. I'll just say that. Or a similar path to where you're going. It may not be exactly my path, but if you keep working, you're eventually going to access that ancient pool of knowledge, the universal consciousness knowledge, where you can go up and ask anything. You can go find out anything you want. You can talk to anybody you want, dead people, I mean, like I said, I talked to my grandpa, and, now it's kind of like, well, now that I know how to do it, I'm like, I need to go figure this out. I need to resolve this issue. I need to go back and do this. And it's like, I have a whole laundry list of things that's kind of like going, okay, I'm going to go work on this and work on this and figure out this and figure out this and work on this block and go work on any past life abandonment stuff. So when I say I'm on to something big, I'm really, really on to something big. And I want you guys to understand that if you don't, how exciting it is. Last night I had a hard time going to bed because the reality was starting to set in, is just like how big this is. And anyway, I just want to share that with you, about my own little private grief counselor, Jack, or my guide, and how he's taking me through all of these issues that, like I said, I had figured out what they were, but I couldn't figure out how to fix them or heal them. And yes, I could have, probably found some of the healers that would help me go in and do that, but I didn't feel like taking the easy way out was what I was supposed to do. I felt like I needed to figure it out for myself so I could teach you guys how to do that. There's a phrase that says, give a man a fish and he'll eat for a day. Teach a man to fish and he'll eat for a lifetime. So I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to teach you guys how to do this on your own, so you can go in and get where you want to go and not sit there spinning in circles like so many people do, and how I did for a long time, and feeling like I'm working on it, I'm trying to get there, and I make a little breakthrough, and it's now I literally feel like I am running to the finish line. I don't know where the finish line is going to take me or what's at the end of the finish line, but I feel like I am so close to getting everything. That's just the best way to say it. So anyway, just sharing that with you. And now I have a private reading to do, so I need to get on that. I will talk to y'all later. Bye.